Hey, welcome to Culture Shock. So a bit of a tactical video this morning. I had one lined up to do, but I decided that I'd stall that and do this one instead. So very, very quickly, because something's just come to my mind. So I'm at a client in the boardroom waiting for a meeting. It's very early on a Monday morning. It was 10 to 6 actually when I left the house. And the interesting thing, it's getting on for winter. In South Africa, so we're very, very late autumn, late fall. So it's dark out at that time of the morning, and it's getting a bit chilly. It's about 8 degrees. It's not freezing, but it's cold enough for it to you wear something like this. And you'll notice there are a few cars on the road. I mean, it's a bit eerie this time of year because everybody's got their headlights on first thing in the morning. But what you'll also notice is that there's a lot of people that are queued up on the side of the road waiting for minibus taxis, and that's something that I want to talk about today, because there, particularly in South Africa, and this may be true where you are in the world as well, but there are distinct groups of people. There are those people like me who got up out of a warm bed and got into my Audi and came to work here at a client, and I'm going to have some lovely coffee just now. And so the hardship for me is that I have to get up early on a Monday morning to come in for this meeting. It's really not that big a deal. On the other hand, there are all those people queuing up the side of the road, and they literally, those are the sorts of people who have to be in a building like this, possibly even this one, at 8:30 when work starts. And in order to do so, they're already queuing at the side of the road at 10 to 6. And in fact, probably have been for a while already. They might have a 2 or 3 hour commute every morning or every evening, and every evening, in fact. And it takes them way out of their route because the taxis don't go in straight lines, so they've got to go all the way over there in order to come all the way back, etc. So the people have very different experiences first thing in the morning. And the question, I guess, that I think we haven't fully answered is, what do we do with them when they're here? See, I'm all in favor of treating adults like adults. I think that's important. And I think that ultimately the work experience that people have, we have to somehow sort of almost ring fence that and decide that at work this is where we're going to be treated. Otherwise we end up taking care of every single nuance of every single person's life experience, and that becomes very complex, very cumbersome, and potentially very, very dangerous. So I understand that there are challenges, and I understand there are things that you can and cannot do. However, I think that if we're starting to talk about, if we're going to be serious about building culture that includes people, it's almost sometimes, it seems that doing humane things is antithetical to building culture for a lot of organizations, that we think that this is something that needs to be systematized as opposed to something that needs to be sort of aware of the sort of the human experience and the variations of that. And I think we're making a mistake with that, because I think the truth is, if we're trying to build one uniform culture with two types of people, one of whom, I mean, I got up early in order to come here this morning, but I wouldn't have necessarily had to be here, get out of bed, anything like as early as I did if I was coming on an ordinary day, whereas a lot of people do. They have to get up that early no matter what. And so to just say, well, look, you've come to work and you got up an hour and a half ago and you've had a good breakfast, whereas you've come to work and you got up 4 hours ago and you're possibly still tired, but here's the situation, it's exactly the same for everybody, get on with it. That seems to me to be missing something crucial. And the thing that really brings this to mind, kind of the reason I wanted to stop and do this now, was I saw a video during the week, maybe the last couple of weeks anyway, where a US congresswoman was grilling the CEO of a major bank about an employee that works for that bank who doesn't have a living wage. In fact, what she's earning isn't enough to send her child to childcare after school, and creates a great deal of stress in her life. And we've all read Hertzberg's thing from the Harvard Business Review in the late 60s about motivational versus hygiene factors. I think nothing really brings that, to my mind, more clearly into view than these two instances. This video of this congresswoman grilling this bank executive who seemed absolutely unaware and frankly unconcerned that he's got people who can't even pay their basic bills on the salary that they pay. And at the same time, we've got all these people lining up on the sides of the road on a cold winter morning, near winter morning, waiting to go to work, and they're going to have to come here and do much the same things that you or I do. So to me, I think that there's something we're missing. I think that to suggest that we should just have one set of rules, to suggest that we don't necessarily take these things in mind, to suggest that we don't make some sorts of allowances for it, is to suggest that we're not really listening. And if we're not really listening, we're not really building a very strong culture. It's a complex one. I don't have a great answer for you this week. It's just it's a conundrum I wanted to put out there. The hypothesis I'm positing is that we need to come up with a much better understanding of our individuals, workers' needs, maybe even in smaller groups, but in clusters, but in smaller ones, of their individual needs, and be more reactive to that, be more aware of that, be more proactive about it if we can, because we're missing something. We're going to try and drive engagement amongst people who have already got other things on their minds, and we're going to fail. And I don't want that to happen. So anyway, that's been top of my mind. It's been food for thought for me all morning as I've been driving in. I hope it's food for thought for you as well. And I wish you a very good week.